This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hi, I'm Dawn Brody, a comedian with a history degree and the host of the podcast HeARTfully History I'd Like to Fuck. Each episode, I am joined by a new guest who has brought me a subject from history that they want to know more about. Then I hit the books, I dig deep in the annals, and stimulate. We've covered Frankenstein, Houdini, Joan of Arc, Pompeii, the Salem witch trials, right? Join us and find out for yourself that history is a party and everybody's coming.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Deluxe Edition. I am your host, Casey Shearer. Joining me, as always, the mayor of Cleveland, Ohio, L. Ray Sexton.
How's it going over there, Casey?
Good, buddy. How are you, man?
Ho, ho, ho. We're talking Christmas today.
Yes, ho, ho, ho. We are talking Christmas today with our guest, the artist, Christopher Radko of HeARTfully Yours. Awesome interview. This guy is fascinating, man. Destroyed his, well, we don't want to get into the,
Don't give nothing away.
He'll tell the story.
Yeah.
He'll tell the story. Well, let's get right into it after this house cleaning. We are a part of the Deluxe Edition Network. You can find all of the other great shows on the network over at deluxeeditionnetwork.com. And the podcasts of the month this month are Take on the World and The Beard Laws. Check them out. Beard Laws is live every Thursday. Matt McClear and a bunch of friends just shooting the shit. It's a great show. And Take on the World, they do, our friend Mike, he's been on the show. He did a takeover episode and he'll be on again. Awesome show. They take on the world. They talk about different things like prisons and different stuff. It's a good show. Go check them out. Go find us over on Facebook at facebook.com/Deluxe Edition Pod. Check everything out over there. Check out the Instagram over at Deluxe Edition Pod. Ray handles all of the Instagram duties. And let's see, if you want to check out all of our previous shows, we've had a ton of different celebrities and people on the show that you might enjoy. Go over to deluxeedition.show and check that out. And if you'd like to support the show, go over to patreon.com/Deluxe Edition Pod. You can find the show immediately after it's recorded, unedited, over at patreon.com/Deluxe Edition Pod. Ray, what are you plugging today, buddy?
As I've decided is the new model moving forward, please like, share, subscribe, review our show on whatever platform you enjoy it on. Helps us more than you will ever know.
Yeah, helps us out a lot. Spotify, iTunes, YouTube,
Amazon,
all those places.
everywhere.
Yeah, all those places.
Yeah, they all want you to do a review for some reason.
Yeah. And tell your friends. It helps. Word of mouth helps the most.
Yeah, tell strangers.
We do.
I mean, that's what we're doing.
All right. I hope you enjoy the show with Christopher Radko. Christopher, how are you, man?
I'm excellent. How are you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good. Are you
So,
ready?
just to let
Ready for
you know.
Christmas?
Oh yeah, so the Halloween is over, and do you start prepping right away for Christmas, or do you start prepping like all year.
All year. Yeah, you bet. I live it. I'm just waiting patiently for Halloween to finish so I can pounce on Christmas. Yep, absolutely.
Now, do you have Christmas stuff up all year? Is it?
I don't. I know you would expect it. I mean, me of all people, but no, I wait till next week. Next week is when I put up my tree and put up the lights around the house, and yeah, I'm cruising into Christmas.
Nice.
So Thanksgiving's not even a holiday for you?
Oh no, I love my turkey and giblets and all that, sure, but in context of Christmas. So yeah, no, we slip Thanksgiving in there for sure, football games and everything, but Christmas is like this whole season. It's not just like 1 week for me. I gotta live it up, it's the kid in me.
Tell us about your love for Christmas, man. Like where did it all start?
That's a good question. I as a little kid, I grew up in kind of a dysfunctional family, I guess you could say. And my parents were always at each other's throats. And it seemed, though, that at Christmas they would have a truce, and we'd have good food, and friends would come over and family and all that. And it was like the one time a year that I always associate with literally peace on earth. I mean, like peace at my own home. And the presents were great too. The lights, as a kid, I loved all the cartoons and stuff, Rudolph and Frosty and all that. So, it's kind of a good contrast to the short days and the darkness outside. Christmas was like sparkle and light and magic. And my parents got along better at Christmas. So I've kind of carried that in my heart all year long, that it's a time of year where we can open up our hearts. And I didn't expect to be making Christmas ornaments. I mean, that's not something you dream of doing or expect to do as a kid. My parents were doctors, and it wasn't until our family tree that we had this huge 12-foot tree, and I bought this new tree stand, and it was guaranteed to hold this tree, and unfortunately it didn't. One of the legs buckled, the tree crashed, and all these beautiful old ornaments that had been handed down from my grandmother's time shattered. And she was alive at the time, and she came into the living room and she said, what happened? What have you done? And like she was surveying all these shattered ornaments, she said, Christopher, you've ruined Christmas forever now. I was like, oh my God, like, it's like, but for my grandmother, who was born in 1900, every ornament had a story behind it. Each year we'd hang like, this is when I was 5 years old, and this is when your mother was born in 1927. I mean, she would tell the whole family story with these Christmas ornaments. And it was like a legacy, like a family diary. And I think that a lot of people feel that way. I mean, you have your favorite ornaments from, when you moved, or when your kids were born, or when you just got married. And, your tree, it tells stories, the stories of Christmases gone by, as well as the ones that the memories that you're creating today. So, hey, this is what I do. It brings joy to people. So I'm lucky.
Yeah, that's all in my notes. So that was in 1984. Like, how old were you at the time when that happened?
Some people think I was like 7 or 8, but I was 24 at the time.
Okay. So like, how did you go about how did you start the process then of like rebuilding this collection? Because I mean, your story is fascinating, man. Like you actually went to Poland and met with people, right?
It was pretty magical. Guilt. I mean, guilt is the cause of a lot of things moving forward. And my grandmother's guilt trip that she laid on me, ruining Christmas forever, is a lot to live with, and I didn't have a therapist then. So, so it was like, how am I going to deal with this, stuff? I don't want to use the wrong words. I don't know how, kosher we are here, but
you can say whatever you want.
Okay. Well, so I mean, because family tongue, right? So I lived in New York, right? So I looked at all the department stores back then, and nobody had glass ornaments anymore. Everything was plastic or styrofoam. So that following spring, I visited a cousin in Poland, and she told me how she had been informed by my grandmother that I ruined Christmas forever. And she said, but don't worry, we still have glass ornaments in this country. If you want, I'll send you a care package in November. Now, this was at Easter time, so it was like April. And I said, I don't want to live with this guilt till November. And she said, well, okay. And so she introduced me to a friend of hers who was a glass blower. He made distillery equipment for making moonshine vodka. So he's a really good glass blower. Because in Poland, like, it's all about the vodka, right? And it sounds like, you make your own bathtub vodka because it's cheap and it's just potatoes. All you need is potatoes and sugar, and the vodka comes out a week later. I don't know, but it's good vodka, I gotta tell you. So anyway, so this glass blower said, yeah, to supplement his income, he made Christmas ornaments like his father did and his grandfather did, back in the 20s and 30s. So I did some sketches of ornaments I remembered as a kid growing up in the 60s. And he looked at them and he said, wow, my grandfather used to make ornaments like these 40 or 50 years ago. And so he made them for me. I brought them home with me. I showed them to friends and they all said, where did you get these glass ornaments? Who's making glass ornaments? And can we buy them? And that's all I needed to hear. I was working in a mailroom of a talent agency, ICM. I was earning $12,000 a year, which after taxes, $8,000, not enough money to survive in New York City. So I started selling Christmas ornaments on my lunch hour in Midtown Manhattan. I literally cold called. I mean, like, I was pretty ballsy. I showed up. It's like, you don't know me, but I've got this bag of ornaments, and like, let me, just point me to the buyer because he's gonna love these ornaments. And the first year I sold $25,000 of ornaments at wholesale, and then the next year I sold like 100,000 at wholesale. Just in Midtown Manhattan. And as I said, goodbye ICM. I'm not meant to be an agent. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And so here I am, I don't know, 37 years later, and I'm doing what I love still.
That's awesome. So how long does it take for each ornament to be made? I mean, it's a process because now that we have you, by the way, thank you very much. You sent us, Ray and I, a nice little package. Yeah, they're beautiful, man.
They are. They really are. They're all done by hand. Here's a really kind of a goofy one right here. This little snowman. Very, very vintage. Very, very vintage. Each ornament takes 7 days to make. There's no way to speed it up. They are mouth blown and hand painted. Here's a little Santa by the North Pole. Really a sweet little guy. But it's a craft from the 1800s. So you blow in a glass bubble of clear glass, and then you silver the inside with sterling silver. And then it's all the layers of paint and details, down to the blush on Santa's cheeks or the eyelashes on an angel's eyes. I have a lady, all she does is apply eyelashes on all the angel's eyes. I mean, it's all done by hand. And then the glitter and everything. So it takes 7 days to create just one of them. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's no machines, no computers that can do this. And I love designing new ones each year. Each year, I have a new collection, in my new company, HeARTfully Yours. I sold the old company. I'm not connected with the old company, which had my brand name, Christopher Radko, but I'm not connected to that at all. I had a long non-compete and expired, so I have a brand new company called HeARTfully Yours. And it is from my heart. Yeah, I wake up every morning, it's like, oh boy, I don't have to work in a corporation. I don't have to take the train to New York City every day. I don't have to live that life. I can live Christmas every day. How many people get to do that? I'm really blessed that way.
So I wasn't sure if we could talk about the lawsuit and all that stuff. So,
sure.
So why did you decide to come back after, because you were gone for 15 years, you sold your old company and took a hiatus, and then, so why come back?
You know what? I did a lot of things on my my non-compete. I was a lavender farmer. I worked for Turner Movie Classics. I did, festivals and events. I wrote a book on the movie Hello, Dolly for the 50th anniversary. So, I did a lot of crazy stuff. I led tours to Europe. I was a travel tour guide for the Christmas markets in Bavaria and Germany and all. After when I realized that my non-compete was about to expire, it's like I'm in my 60s now, and it's like, what am I going to do? I'm not going back to college, and I'm not a really good chef, so I can't go work in a restaurant. So my heart has always been with Christmas, and so I still have a lot of designs in me. So I launched this new company, HeARTfully Yours, 2 years ago. And it's all new ornaments. And the thing is, these are made in Europe. These are not made in China. They're not mass produced. which is really cool. Like in 2023, to still have stuff actually made in Europe and made by the same families that made them 120 years ago. That is so uncommon. I mean, it's really, really rare. And so I have a hand in continuing that tradition, that folk art tradition. I love it. I mean, it brings me joy. Yeah, it's a source of income too, no doubt about it. But ultimately, I do it because I know that these ornaments will make a difference in people's families for years to come. 100 years from now, I'll be gone, and we'll all be living on Mars then. But people will have my HeARTfully Yours ornaments on their Martian Christmas trees. So, I mean, how cool is that, right?
Yeah, very cool, man. You mentioned that you love designing these things. So how do you come up with the designs? And to tie into that question, have you ever learned to make them yourself?
Actually, how do I design them? A big bottle of whiskey. That's a good start, or Prosecco, if it's daytime. But it's kind of like composing music. It just kind of shows up in your mind. Like if you ask, Bruce Springsteen, where do your songs come from? It's like, I don't know. They just show up, and it's a matter of like going quiet for a moment and it's like letting it flow in, and somehow like you're turning on a radio signal in your brain, and it just they show up in my mind's eye, and I quickly sketch them and put them on paper and send them off to the factories. That is the easiest part for me. Running a business is not easy at all. Dealing with UPS, dealing with, the freight forwarders, financing things, dealing with stores that don't pay their bills and all that crazy business stuff. That is what really, is what brings me down, if you will. But I do it because I know that the ornaments have a purpose. I'm really kind of, in my own way, it sounds kind of wacky, but I am purpose driven. I know I'm very clear that my ornaments serve a purpose. My ornaments will outlive me. They go to homes that I can never be in. But the ornaments have a mission to bring joy and create memories for families that I might never ever meet. And I think that's pretty cool to be able to do that. I mean, there's enough darkness in the world, right? And shadows and, craziness. And, this is my way, if you will, of bringing some light. And it's kind of just a matter of faith for me. I can't like show up at people's homes and like, do you really like the ornaments? But I know they do. And it's always been that way for me. And that's what I do. I mean, it's crazy. My parents wanted me to be a doctor. I can't do that. I had to, to be a doctor, you have to study chemistry and calculus and all that crap, right? And it's like, that's not for me. So I can't believe I fell into this literally because the tree fell over, and it makes a difference to people. They're each year in America, just in the United States, there are 50 million trees put up. 50 million trees put up, and I mean, I'll never ever be able to have my ornaments on everybody's trees because they can't make them. They can't make that many. They're made in limited quantities. Some of my ornaments are only 50 pieces. So I'm just trying my best. And I'll do this till I'm 99, and I'll keel over, and that'll be it. But here I am today, and Christmas is coming, and you guys are helping to get the Christmas magic out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of Christmas magic, now somewhere out there right now is somebody who this December is going to ruin Christmas for their family. Are you willing to help them figure out how to fix their ornament problem the same way you did?
That is, what? I just say, break out those brownies, and like chill, it's like, everything's legal now. Like have a Christmas brownie. Don't take it so seriously, don't let your grandmother guilt you into it. I was kind of naturally loving Christmas. It was my happy place as a child. So like if someone knocks their tree over, so no big deal. There are more ornaments out there. Or tie the tree to the corner, like get a guy wire and tie it to the wall so it doesn't tip. That's all. Don't let happen to you what happened to me. But I mean, for me, Christmas, it's even not just the decorating. Christmas it's not the religion part of it either. Honestly, for me, Christmas is just about love and light, whatever your interpretation of that is. It's about connecting with the people you love. It's about opening your hearts to people. It's about remembering that we're all together on this planet. We're all ultimately brothers and sisters, whatever that looks like to you. We are. I mean, I can tell you, there's a huge galaxy out there, and they're all looking at us like, look at these crazy earthlings, fighting wars. Like, what is that bullshit? I mean, like, they're all one species, and then they're eating each other alive. It's like, boy, are they backwards, right? And it's like, for Christmas, it's like, hey, everyone, wake up. At least for that moment of the year, just like, be nice, sweet, consider the other person's perspective for a moment. I don't know, just do whatever you can to be a little bit of a light in this crazy world. It helps me sleep better at night. It really does, being that way.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to be nice,
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, you don't have to be a billionaire and, cure cancer, although that would be nice. But I mean, you can just give someone your time. You can listen to someone. You can help a child with their homework. I mean, there's so many ways to make little differences, but it's not about the size. It's about the energy behind, the heart behind it. So, I mean, you don't have to have money to be part of this world and helping others. It's just about smiling at people in the street, or being nice to someone in the grocery store, or, letting someone pass you in the highway. Like, no worries. You're just
hell no, that's not happening.
Not that. No. All right. Not that. But, yeah, no, I know. I mean, especially in LA, right? Forget about it. On the 405 or the number 10. No, none of that. But I don't know. I mean, what is the response to this crazy world? I mean, you can moan and groan about who's running for election and who did what to who and who slept with who and all that shit. It's like, come on, get over it. Ultimately, what we control is the way we are for people individually. And you can be good to a person and give them the time of the day and show some humanity and see them as, as brothers and sisters. And that makes a difference. That is my response to the craziness in the world.
You mentioned you don't have to be rich to do all that stuff, but you have met some very wealthy celebrities and sold your ornaments to them. So tell us a little bit about that. Katharine Hepburn, Woody Allen, Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, a lot like Hugh Jackman. I mean, a lot of the the younger or newer stars too. Yeah, Katharine Hepburn was amazing. Obviously, I remember as a kid, my mom would watch her movies. That's how I was introduced. I loved Katharine Hepburn because she was a very independent woman at a time in the 30s and 40s where women were supposed to be like June Cleaver, just cooking flapjacks every day. And Katharine Hepburn was like, no, I'm going to wear trousers. I'm going to, make it in the man's world. Warren Buffett is a huge collector, a huge fan of mine. I'm talking about billionaires, right? But, Bruce Springsteen bought a whole Christmas tree with my ornaments. I did, Barbra Streisand got me making Hanukkah ornaments. Elton John he pays retail for my ornaments. It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of, ornaments for celebrities and stars. Dolly Parton loves my ornaments. I mean, it's because everyone loves Christmas, right? And they want something really good, something that will last a long time. So Robert De Niro, right? I mean, like, he doesn't say very much, but he loves Christmas, so it's cool. I mean, the celebrities are great. For the kid in me, I keep kicking myself. It's like, I can't believe I'm a kid from the Bronx, right? Like, what do I know? And literally, like, for instance, Robert De Niro called me up on the phone. It's like, what? And he's like, he wanted me to decorate his house, right? And for his family, it's like, at first I thought it was a prank call, right? And it's like, who am I? I'm just this kid from the Bronx, but everyone loves, the people that love Christmas or that recognize the spirit, the heart that I put into the ornaments, they respond. It turns them on. They love it, and they just, I mean, I'm I'm glad that people respond to what I do. And now that I have this new company and I'm launching it from scratch, I've got to tell you, to start a new company in your 60s, with the climate the way it is today, it's not easy. So I'm grateful that Christmas comes back each year. That people still are interested in better glass ornaments. I'm grateful to be, on your program, and sharing with you guys and your audience too. So it's a new generation out there. I mean, I gotta get all the kids interested in my ornaments now.
Speaking of your ornaments,
Yeah.
is there any difference between the ornaments that a celebrity would get and what you would sell to just the general population?
No, generally not, unless they commission me to do something, right? So like for Elton John, I did an ornament of him as Santa Claus, kind of a caricature of him, and it was for his AIDS foundation. So it had the gap between the teeth and everything. So for Elton, that was really about supporting his AIDS foundation. Same thing for Elizabeth Taylor. I created an ornament with her for her AIDS foundation. This is already going back, more than 20 years ago, obviously, but she was at the forefront of a Hollywood star being courageous enough to talk about AIDS, and that there was no shame to it, right? I mean, she kind of put it out there, and she was like the new face of because like back when Reagan was president, people just they were scared. There was no federal funding for it. And then she shows up and she said, look, no, people are getting sick. We need to do something about it. So no, I mean, the celebrities just like my ornaments. Of course I can do a special ornament of them if they like. I might do it for a charity, like I'll probably be doing next year a Lucille Ball ornament, but that goes to a special museum, the Museum of Comedy in Upper New York State. So, I'll do that. But yeah, they just like the ornaments. I mean, I create new designs each year, so there's always something new for them to choose from.
And what's great about your ornaments too is, like you said, each one is different. Not one is exactly the same because they are each hand blown. You were known as an ornament maker. So like, how do you get selected to decorate Robert De Niro's entire house? Like, and you also did Al Gore's residence and some displays at the White House.
Oh my God, yeah, you're talking about history. Yeah, I decorate the whole Kennedy Center in Washington. Governor's mansions, historical houses, you name it. Well, all right. Like with Robert, it was through Whoopi Goldberg, because she has been a fan of mine, I guess for 40 years or whatever. She has always loved Christmas growing up as a kid in New York, and she invited me to her Christmas party, and the year that I went, her tree was kind of bare. And so I said, Whoopi, can I help you with your tree next year? And she said, oh my God, that would be so great. And so I worked out this deal. I didn't get paid for it. Instead, I calculated the value of everything. And then she made a donation to a children's charity. That's how that worked. So that was great. And so many people are at a Christmas party, and Robert De Niro was there, saw the tree. And so then he calls me up and asked me if I can do the same at his house. And so I do that because it's kind of fun. Again, for the kid in me, it's like, I can't believe I'm doing this, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a huge collector. Kristen Chenoweth, the Broadway star and singer, she's a great fan. I mean, so many people, but when it comes to Christmas, we're all kids, so it's almost not about people's fame. It's about the Christmas brings out the kid in all of us. So, and the thing is, working at ICM, I met a lot of stars there. So like, I guess I'm not really starstruck because I know they're people too. I would see them come in to meet their agent, I mean, I would get them coffee or whatever. I was just a kid then, but you see they're real people. And the fact that they like my ornaments is kind of like, wow, that's really cool. I'm glad that I can do something that impresses them, because they can have whatever they want, right? They have the money and whatever and the contacts. So the fact that they want my ornaments is like, wow, if my parents only knew, it's like, see, I didn't have to go to medical school. See?
So now that you started HeARTfully Yours, are you reaching back out to some of these people and, saying, hey, look what I got. I'm back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I welcome, more connections that way for sure. Because, It's hard to reach people. It actually gets harder and harder. So many celebrities have their like posse of publicists and whatever, surrounding them. That it's really hard to get through to them. But sometimes it works out. Last year, Chris Jenner did a post on her Instagram about an ornament that I made, and that went viral, and that was really fun. And her daughter Kylie Jenner loves my ornaments too. So I'm glad that some of the new generation, the younger generation, people in their 20s and early 30s are getting interested. But all I can say is, as long as Christmas is around, I'm going to be there too.
Yeah. So is there anything that you would want to change about Christmas if you could?
What could I? Yeah. I don't know if it's so much change. I would give us more time to just enjoy it. It comes and goes so fast, right? You put up your tree and before you know it, you're taking it right down again. And people are so harried, doing their Christmas shopping and all that. So I wish I would somehow find a way to extend the period so that people could, ease into it and relax into it, not feel stressed and under pressure to make it happen for their family. I would also emphasize the inclusiveness of Christmas as a cultural event in this country, not necessarily a religious event. Christmas is open-hearted, and there are many mixed marriages, right? So, it's about coming together as friends and loved ones, sharing time, sharing good food, sharing your heart. To me, that's the ultimate vision for Christmas. It's not even about December 25th. It's about how do you live that spirit year-round, that sort of spirit of care and connection and love, which I don't know. It sounds corny, but it's true too. How can we live a little bit of Christmas each day? What can we do each day that is Christmas-like? Any kind of a kindness that you extend to someone is the spirit of Christmas. Helping, someone who's hungry, helping, whatever, just volunteering a little bit of your time at a food kitchen, whatever. There are so many ways to live Christmas year round. It's not even about Christmas Day. That's the sparkle and the glitter, and I love that too, for sure. But to me, Christmas doesn't really mean very much unless you're living it all year long.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So I just have some generic questions here, and then some actual fan questions, and then we'll turn it over to Ray, and then we'll get you out of here.
Yay.
What is your advice for keeping Christmas stress-free?
Booze. Lots of booze. Lots of booze. The better the booze, the less, gummies? I don't know.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned brownies earlier. I wasn't sure. Yeah,
gummies are great. A booze. Lots of Christmas cheer. But it's like shed the expectations. I decorate because it heightens your environment. It creates a little sparkle and color in your environment. That's why I decorate. But it's about just getting all your friends over and serving whatever food you like and cranking up the music and pouring the eggnog. It's about connection. So focus more on the connection and don't stress on the gifts, on how much you decorate or whatever, because ultimately, people are going to remember the warm heart feelings they feel. And that trumps any kind of, decor or lights or whatever, the warm feelings. It's a chance to share warm feelings. So focus on the warm feelings and, don't let the commercial stuff get to you. That's just to make money for companies. Like, focus on the connection. Call up your friends from high school or college or whatever. I don't know. Invite your neighbors over who you haven't really met yet. Just do stuff that connects. Connect. That's all. And focus on that, because you will find joy in connection, a lot of it. And it doesn't matter if the food is fancy or whatever. It's about the connection. So just focus on that and take another gummy or whatever. You'll be good. It'll be good.
Speaking of like giving back and the connections, HeARTfully Yours is a very charitable company, right?
I've always cared about letting the ornaments go that extra mile. And so like, even when I had my old company, I think I raised over $2 million, for like heart disease and pediatric cancer and stuff like that. Now I'm focusing on, I raised money for the Ukraine, right? Because like last year I did a bunch of ornaments to raise money for the Ukraine, and that went to the Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders, and one more charity I can't even remember anymore. That was last year. But I care a lot about heart disease causes for women. I lost my mom to heart disease because her cardiologist didn't understand that women's hearts are not identical to men's hearts, and they respond differently to chemicals and to drugs and stuff like that. And this particular cardiologist just never took that class in med school, and we lost my mom. So I really care about, supporting causes that educate doctors on women's heart disease. I care a great deal also about finding some kind of more early detection, or even a cure for breast cancer, because I lost my sister a few years back to breast cancer. She had a kind of breast cancer that literally she didn't know anything about it, and then 3 months she was gone. So that's still a major issue that I would like to participate in helping, alleviate. And then lastly, also food pantries, food. During COVID, I can't believe how long the lines were to food pantries, and they still are today. And it's like, how can we be the so-called richest country in the world, and like there's still people going home or going to sleep without food? It just doesn't make sense to me. So food shortage, food insecurity is a big deal for me. So that breast cancer and women's heart disease are very, very, and AIDS research always, of course, too. Those are, I just care about those causes. I can support other causes too. If a charity contacts me, I'll of course make an ornament for them, no doubt about it. But how cool that a Christmas ornament can go that extra mile and raise some funds for a good cause. Yeah.
Speaking of food donations, I just read something yesterday about when we are like giving food donations, because I do, every once in a while we clean out the pantry and, give stuff to the local food bank. But like we always give, like, you always think like macaroni and cheese and this type of stuff. But I was reading the article, and they said that what they really need are like the things to help make the macaroni and cheese, like milk and butter and like the meat, like that goes with like the hamburger helper. Because they said like the hamburger helper will just sit there if they don't have meat to cook it with, So it's like, I don't know. I'll post the link in the description, but it's something to think about.
No, you're absolutely right. And like I know our local food pantry has like a weekly kind of like a wish list, if you will, and they'll kind of tell you like this week we need canned vegetables because like there haven't been vegetables in a month or something like that. So they kind of help us and guide us, I would say. I think that's a good thing when they can kind of identify what the need of the week is. But it's just like, I can't put myself in everyone's shoes, but I know that there are people going without food, and that's like, well, how can you live life if you can't eat? Just your body functions are not going to work well. And I think that's one of the biggest, in my opinion, I think it's one of the biggest problems on earth right now, is that there's so many countries and people that don't have enough food. That and clean water, obviously, right? You got to have clean water, not infected water or bacteria type water. But I believe that there would be a lot less anger on earth if there weren't so many hungry people. It's not about politics. It's about food. It's a basic need for our bodies. If we, and I'm not espousing GMO food at all. And believe me, none of the Monsanto crap, and fake seeds and all that. But just, basic, clean, safe, non-toxic food that's not like big corporation food, and get it out there. I mean, if this country got behind that, we would, like, instead of being sort of not liked in other parts of the world, we'd truly be the heroes that I think we can be, just by providing a means for food to be created all over the world, so no one goes to sleep at all in any part of the planet hungry. They wouldn't hate us as much, right? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, man, it's I don't know, it's a losing battle, I think. All right, let's talk about something a little less depressing.
All right.
Your favorite Christmas movie?
Truly, It's a Wonderful Life. And I'm friends with Frank Capra's granddaughter and Jimmy Stewart's daughter as well. I love that movie. And the reason I love it, it always gets me no matter how many times I watch it. It's this idea, this recognition that we all make a difference in other people's lives. And we don't know it because they're not necessarily going to tell us, or we might not even meet them for them to tell us. But we all can touch the world in subtle ways, just like, George Bailey did. He didn't know. He needed to want to kill himself, and then some angel has to tell him, no, don't you realize, how your town would have been so different if you had not been there. So I just believe that's true for all of us, for each one of us. We, in the smallest of ways, again, it's not about being a billionaire and, finding the cure for cancer, but it's so many small ways that add up big time. We are making a difference in people's lives, and to know that we all make a difference, even if we don't feel it, even if people aren't telling us, oh, you're the greatest, you did this, you did that. We do. If your intention is to be a little bit of sunshine in the world, go do it and know that it makes a difference, and a bigger difference than you will ever imagine. And when it's your time to kick the bucket, old St. Peter's going to come down and say, do you know what a fucking great life you lived? Look, let me show you all these great things you did that you had no idea about. That's pretty cool. And that's why I like It's a Wonderful Life.
Awesome. What is your second favorite holiday besides Christmas?
Second favorite holiday. I actually like all holidays because they give us a chance to escape from the daily grind and just connect with the people we love and, share a good meal or whatever, and share a glass of whatever spirit you like. The second favorite holiday, it's actually not Halloween, even though Halloween is the number 2 holiday, right, in this country. I think, honestly, I really do like Thanksgiving a lot. I like that. There's something very Americana about Thanksgiving. Everyone, all the big families getting together, and I don't know. It's just kind of all the generations getting together. I like Thanksgiving a lot. I don't know. Honestly, I'm an all holiday. I'm equal holiday employer. I love them all. I really do. I love my birthday. So I love them all. I love them all. I mean, every holiday has something to say for it, and I think as long as a holiday is about connecting with the people that you care about and remembering that there's more life than just the daily grind, then that's a good holiday.
Yeah. So before we get in, I have 3 fan questions, but before that, let's go back to the beginning. So did your grandmother ever did you ever replace her collection? Was she?
Yeah, she forgave me. I would bring home a carton of every single ornament I designed. And the first year I designed like 75 ornaments, the second year like 125, and then it grew to 300 and whatever. And so her basement was packed. You could move in there. There were so many ornaments in there. So she got the message. She oh my God, this actually happened,
Enough with the ornament.
Yes, I forgive you. Yeah. So yeah, no, she forgave me. I'm lucky about that. Yeah, she was great.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, we have 3 fan questions here.
Sure.
Gigi Hayes would like to know, when will the 2024 line drop?
Very good question. That will be the first week of January. The big reveal.
All right.
Big reveal. Because right now, this past weekend, I revealed my gallery collection. It's direct to consumer, so it's available on my website, HeARTfullyYours.com. And I just launched it this Friday night. But the 2024 collection will come out the first week of January.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Martha Hayes would like to know, are you planning on doing a master craftsman line?
Well, that's really interesting. The idea of a master craftsman is creating really, really hard to make ornaments that are not made with molds, but they're free blown. So that means that you don't use a mold. It might be like a ball with reflectors and then like a cone twist underneath and something, kind of like it's a 3-dimensional ornament, but it's not It's not blown into a mold. So I'm already doing that. I just don't call it that. So I do have ornaments that are that level of exquisite detail, but I don't call it that per se. I got to tell you, it's not easy being a glassblower. You sit in front of a 1,000-degree Bunsen burner all day long, sweating like crazy, and to train enough years to become a tip-top glassblower like that, it's just not easy. There are very few of them alive right now. But I'm keeping that tradition alive, with my designs each year. I keep them working. I keep their families happy. I send them vitamins each week, keep, Geritol, whatever it takes, vodka, whatever they want, it's theirs, just to keep them making ornaments for me. Because, Santa's demanding, up in the north, it's tough. Santa has his list, and it's like, no, you got to make more.
So was that something that was associated with the other line, the Master Craftsman thing? Was that?
When I had that company, I actually had a group called the Master Craftsman. So I don't call it that anymore.
Sure.
But the idea remains the same, where where it's exquisitely made, very, very unique, limited edition, glass blowing, that you have to be an exquisitely well-trained glass blower to be able to make it. Yeah.
Sure. So take us through a little more of the process there. You mentioned a mold. So they make the first one and somehow make it into a mold, or like what?
Yeah, even the process of making the ornament. So I have to provide them with a sketch, right? So I provide a sketch or a design. Then that goes to a carver. So the ornaments are made out of clay. They're actually carved by a carver in clay. So it's a three-dimensional, carving, if you will, out of clay. And then I give them notes on the clay carving. Once they get approval for that stage, then they make a mold from the clay piece. And they use kind of this reverse mold, lost wax process. It's really crazy. It's like, again, technology from the 1800s. But they make from the clay, they make a metal mold. And it's two sides, at least. It's like a clamshell. It opens and closes. And then they have to kind of, and sometimes some of the more complicated ornaments have up to 7 parts. So it's like this whole thing and then you have a foot pedal and it opens and all these parts kind of fall apart. And then when you have your hot ball of, molten glass, then you release a foot pedal and the whole mold closes in on it. And then you give it one more puff, and then the glass expands into that mold. And then again, you open up the mold, and there is the finished glass piece in the shape of the mold. And then you have to cure it in the hot flame to give the glass a chance to release all the tension from, the sharp edges. And then, on the next day, they silver the inside with real sterling silver. It's actually poured inside the ornament. That's what makes the ornament shiny and reflective. It's sterling silver, the same way a mirror would be silvered on the back side or the reverse side. So too, the ornaments are silvered on the inside. Again, an old, bit of technology from, the 1880s. And then it's all the layers of paint that have to be painted and dried overnight before you can progress to the next level of painting and detail. And that's why the ornaments take a whole week to make. They're all made by hand. It takes the human breath to breathe life into every single ornament. It's like, who does stuff like this today? It's like, I can't believe I'm even doing it. If you told me I'd be doing this, I'd say you were crazy. Because who does it? Nobody does this stuff. But somehow fate had it that I would be, and I plan to be doing it for 20 or 30 more years, and then I guess that'll be it. Then I'll just be history.
So you mentioned when you draw your design. So
yes.
When you started your first company, everything's on paper, right? So
Right.
Has your process changed at all? Like with the advancement of technology, are you doing anything on computers now? Are you still doing it the original way?
Yeah, it's easy for me just to do a sketch or a drawing. It's almost faster than learning the latest program, whatever it is, and updating it. It's like, programs, they last 6 months and then you get screwed because you have to update it, right? And you have to learn the whole thing all over again. It's like, what? Give me a break. So you know, it's easier just for me to sketch something. And I do a lot of work also directly in the workshop. So I go there. I go for like 6 weeks each year to Europe, and I go to Poland, to Germany, and Italy, and the Czech Republic, and I sit down in the workshops with the glass blowers and carvers and painters. And, I give them all the notes and ideas in person. And this way I can answer their questions in real time. And then they can like make a sample for me to see if it's what I had in mind. So it's a lot of that interaction is really best when it's done in person, than long distance.
Yeah. Awesome, man. All right. One more fan question here. Lori Remek would like to know, what is the favorite ornament in your collection?
Well, you know what? I mean, I've designed over 15,000 ornaments already. So it's really hard to pick a favorite one. I'm just grateful when I hear that an ornament has brought a smile to someone's face or lifted their spirits. Since I've been doing this since 1986, I'm meeting the grandchildren now of my original collectors. I hired some college kids to work in my warehouse, and one of them, he comes up and he says, "Oh, Mr. Radko, my grandfather used to work for you." It's like, oh, yeah, your grandfather. This, so I mean, it's really, kooky that way. But I love them all. I mean, each year I have my latest collection on my tree, so it's always kind of the latest ornaments because I have the samples that I'm going to be selling at wholesale starting in January. So I have those samples on my tree each Christmas. So I mean, I love them all. I just can't pick a favorite one. It's just like picking your favorite kid, you get into trouble for saying that publicly,
Ray, what do you have for Mr. Radko?
All right. So every episode I ask a question, which is called our real question. Right. You have only 60 seconds to answer it.
All right.
So I'm supposed to find something to make you uncomfortable. That's my job here. So I'm going to ask you, how do you feel about horror movies set at Christmas time?
Well, I like Nightmare Before Christmas because I think that's kooky and like kind of ultimately it has a lot of heart. I don't really care for like grisly murder, kind of Santa as the axe murderer stuff. I just, there's enough of that all year long. I mean, do you need to push it on Christmas? Can you have one little window of light and love? Keep your horror for the other 11 months of the year is kind of my perspective, only because you need to have a little counterbalance. But that's just me. I mean, that's just me, I mean, drunk Santa, thief Santa. It's like, come on, give me a break here, don't you see enough of that in the newspapers every day? Do you need to put it on Christmas? I don't know. So I'm not a big fan of horror at Christmas, but I mean, that said, I know life happens and there are wars that happen on Christmas. I mean, I'm not like, my head is not in the sand. I know there's a lot of pain and suffering even on Christmas Day, and that kind of breaks my heart. And all I can do is just remember that the best we can do is what we do individually each day, and it's like being the light in the darkness. It's like they say, instead of cursing the darkness, be the light in the darkness. And I'm just one little candle, but I try to do that. And I think Christmas gives me an opportunity to do that on a wider scale. But, don't worry, there's enough horror in the world anyway. I mean, go to any country, look at the wars and whatever, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict or the Ukraine. I mean, that's the second year already for the Ukraine. I was working with 2 ornament factories in Ukraine, and the Russians bombed the factories. Can you imagine that? How can you bomb an ornament factory? But the Russians did it, So it's like, how does that work? I don't understand what the thinking is there. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So, I mean, there's horror, but you're aware of it, and it's like, yeah, but I'm holding the light for a little joy, because the horror will take care of itself. It'll show up. It takes a little effort to shine light. It takes a little effort. So I'll take that challenge. I'll do that. I'll do what I can.
So yeah, Terrifier 3 is going to be a Christmas movie. So I'm going to write you down as a no to go see it with me then.
All right. Yeah,
I don't think that one would be for Christopher.
Yeah.
All right, Christopher. Thank you so much, man, for taking the time out of your day to do this. Plug away. Where can people find you, your company, get your ornaments, all that stuff?
Absolutely. The most beautiful ornaments ever made are available with HeARTfully Yours. That's my new company. I'm the artist, Christopher Radko, but the company is called HeARTfully Yours. And just, look up HeARTfullyYours.com, and your life will never be the same. You will be whistling jingle bells. You will be covered in glitter and joy, and you will write me a fan letter telling me how your life has never been the same because you discovered these ornaments. And the ornaments make great gifts for people. You can go to someone's house and bring them a bottle of wine, and that's fine, right? But they're just going to have a hangover the next day, and they're going to throw away that bottle, and they'll never remember who gave it to them. But if you give them a beautiful HeARTfully Yours ornament, they are going to remember you every single year when they hang that ornament on their tree. They're going to say, oh, I got these from my buddies or my friend down the block or something. And they will think of you. So that's a great memory maker. HeARTfully Yours. I'm living the Christmas dream with HeARTfully Yours.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, Christopher. We appreciate it.
You guys are great. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho to both of you and all your listeners.